Welcome to Aspire to Retire. I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. I'm here with Ralph and Tim Short, along with Scott Earhart, all from Welcome Home Financial Partners. Guys, it's always good to see you today. Your smiling faces. All right, good stuff here. Well, today we will tackle the crucial aspects of retirement, focusing on savvy tax strategies and navigating healthcare. Now, do you have actionable tips and insights ensuring your retirement is not only financially sound, but also health conscious? That's something we're going to answer today. But first, what are the key tax considerations that one must be aware of as they approach retirement?
I would say number one is understand there are still going to be taxes that has to be paid. Whether you're 65 or 85, you're going to have to pay taxes if you have income coming into you. And that is something that some people do not understand, why they pay taxes all their life while they're working. Why should I have to pay taxes in retirement? It's all based on income.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd tell anybody that's approaching retirement, it's a good time to sit down and talk to somebody, because there are some things you can do to get yourself in a position where you might not have to pay as much taxation in retirement. So as you do get into the retirement red zone, as we call it, or approaching those years, it's a good time to sit down and chat with somebody and see if there's some things that can be done.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people now that save all their money into pre-tax vehicles, whether it's their 401k, a traditional IRA, whatever the case is, and they don't realize necessarily that all of that money is going to be taxed when they pull it out. Now, obviously, you probably don't want to pull it all at the same time, but like Scott says, there are ways that you can minimize and be more tax efficient with your distributions and your withdrawals.
Okay, so how can retirees benefit from tax-deferred and tax-free retirement accounts?
Well, the same way that your favorite words are fat-free, my favorite words are tax-free.
Wait, fat-free? What are you saying there?
You said that the other day, that fat-free was one of your favorite terms.
I never said that. I said free is one of my favorite terms. I think you're lumping me in with another group of people.
Okay, fair enough.
I like my healthy fats. Give me some avocado.
Ooh, I like avocado.
Yeah.
Anyway, tax-free vehicles that are out there, such as Roth IRAs, are going to be fantastic. Now, the problem with the Roth IRA, is we've talked about many times here, is you got to pay the taxes up front. Tax-deferred vehicles that are going to continue to grow for you and you don't have to pay taxes while the interest is compounding on itself are great solutions, but we're going to have to pay taxes on the back end, at least on the interest gains. So there's a lot of different types of accounts out there, and the key for anyone is to sit down with someone and help understand what those vehicles are, how they could benefit their specific situation, and if it's right for them.
Yeah, sitting down with professionals. Don't do it alone, because it gets very stressful to do that. And then we're going to talk about Social Security benefits, because we're all hoping to get those. But what are strategies to minimize taxes on Social Security benefits? Can you?
It's basically controlling how much taxable income you've got coming in. So like you say, if you need to take money out of your tax deferred accounts, all that amount of money that you take out is going to be added to your taxable income. So if you pull $100,000 out of your 401k, that's going to be taxable income. So then that's going to jack up your Social Security benefit taxable income. So you may not receive as much benefit as you might think you're going to.
So let's say you pull out $100,000 from your 401k in December, this month. Would that go on the 2023 taxes then? That's how that works.
That's right.
So that's good to consider.
But why not delay it until next year if you don't have any other income coming in? So those are things that.
Okay, a lot of strategic ways of playing with money here. So how does one's tax bracket in retirement differ from when one is working, and why does it matter?
Well, it matters because it depends on how much tax you're paying, right? So a lot of people think that when you get into retirement, your tax bracket's going to be lower than what it was when you're working. And most of our clients are making more money in retirement than they did while they were working.
Really?
So you've got to take a look at, you've got to make sure you've got your tax planning in with your retirement plan, because what if your tax rate is higher than it was when you were working? Or what if the government decides that they want to increase the taxes? If all your money in your IRAs, your 401k is what we call qualified money, IRA money, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. So it's all about what you're receiving. So if you get $5,000 a month of pre-tax money, you're not receiving $5,000. you're paying your taxes on it, and if the tax rate's increased, then that's less of that $5,000 that you're going to get.
So Cheryl, where did that concept of we're going to be in a lower tax bracket when we retire versus when you were working?
Well, I guess people think they're going to make less money when they retire.
Because we were always told by the government when they put in the IRAs and those type
Yeah.
of retirement programs, you're going to be in less of a
Right.
tax bracket when you retire because you're not making as much money.
Yeah.
We have proven from our clients that that's not necessarily true
And-
if you've done a good job.
And that's because of what? All your investments? Because that's actually counting as income, so you're still in that higher bracket.
When you start taking money out of those retirement accounts, that's taxable income.
My goodness.
So
Yeah, and if you, going back to the pre-tax vehicles here, if you've got a pension and you've got Social Security and you've got way more than enough to live on, and you want to leave your IRAs alone or your 401ks alone, there's going to be a point in time, right now it's age 73, that you're going to have to pull from those vehicles.
Really?
So that could throw you into another tax bracket. But also too is throughout retirement years, your spouse might pass away. So that could affect your tax bracket. There's a lot of things that come into play there.
Oh my gosh, so much to think about. And so you're talking about IRAs, Roth conversions. What are they and how can they be utilized as a tax strategy in retirement planning?
So a Roth conversion is taking your pre-tax dollars, paying the taxes on it at current date and at your current brackets, and then taking the remainder and putting it into what's classified as a Roth IRA, which then distributes when you take the money out, that comes to you tax-free as long as you meet the parameters of it. So that's what a Roth conversion is. It's a really popular idea. It's something that a lot of people talk a lot about, but when people sit down and look at it, it can be a little painful because you do have to pay the taxes today in order to make it happen. So not saying it's a bad idea. We help clients do it all the time, but you've got to understand the pitfalls and the ramifications from making that transaction happen.
Yeah, and we talk about tax rates, right? What tax bracket you're in.
Yeah.
When you do Roth conversions, a lot of times you're going to end up in a different tax bracket. So it's one of those things everybody talks about. It's a great idea. Hey, I don't have to pay tax. You're going to have to pay tax, just like Scott said. When you do the conversion, you're going to have to pay your taxes at that point.
All right, good to know. Well, we've got to take a break here, but before we do, our special offer, Tim.
Thank you, Cheryl. So the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We would love the opportunity to meet with you in the office where we can create the retirement income plan just for you. It'll be on a complimentary basis, and that's our offer.
All right, we're going to open up those phone lines. So if you'd like some personal advice about retirement planning and more, call that number, 833-897-4845. Or if you don't feel like talking today, just scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen and set up an appointment. Coming up next, we will discuss how to plan for health care expenses. Trust me, you don't want to miss this.
Imagine the future you've been wanting all along. A world where your retirement income is covered and you don't have to worry. Your financial assets are protected, and you have an experienced team fighting every day to grow your assets. Imagine a company creating tax strategies and legacy plans to make sure your loved ones are protected no matter what happens. At Welcome Home Financial Partners, we're an experienced financial team with the right professional licenses and an unbreakable commitment to making our clients feel like family. Here you'll find determined, friendly faces in a world filled with obstacles and problems. We help plan your retirement income to ensure you won't run out of money in retirement. We build in protection to make sure your assets are covered on all sides. We focus on growing your wealth to combat inflation and rising cost of living. And we design tax strategies to help you avoid paying back what you shouldn't while protecting the people you love. Our team never stops fighting for you. With an unparalleled work ethic, we work hard because we know your future depends on it. We're proud to help you choose the life you want to live in retirement. Welcome to your financial future. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. Thank you guys so much for calling. We love it when you call in and ask your questions. So guys, what can callers from today's show expect to receive?
So they can expect to receive this little goodie box that we give out to all the callers. Inside that box, there'll be some information about us, information we'd like for them to bring to start the retirement roadmap process. So this is a very important piece.
And you're now calling it Goodie Box, so I like that. It just makes it sound more exciting and desirable, right? That's what we want. Everybody wants a little surprise. Okay, let's get back to the serious stuff here. Healthcare. We're talking about that. What healthcare costs can retirees expect to face, and how can they plan for these expenses? I know there can sometimes be a lot of unknowns.
I would say, number one, what to expect, increasing, because as you age, more than likely, your health is not going to get any better as a 20-year-old versus a 70-year-old. There's going to
Unfortunately.
be some things, so all of a sudden now you got more doctor's appointments. One of the things one of our clients said to me one day, said, you know why you have so much free time in retirement? I'm like, no, why? So you can have enough time to go to your doctor's appointments.
Oh, of course somebody said that.
So those are things that you kind of have to be aware of. And what I would say, how do you plan for it? Well, you need to make sure that you have the Medicare, any supplements, things of that nature. If you need long-term care, how are you going to pay for it? Things like that. But you have to plan for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And supplemental insurance, I've seen commercials about this, like extended hospital stays and unexpected expenses. Like they can cover all of these types of things. So how do Medicare and supplemental insurance policies work together, and what gaps exist in coverage?
Well, the Medicare platform in and of itself, very, very good. Something we've all paid for through our wages and things like that. And it does a good job of covering the big expenses for the most part, but there are definitely some areas where it lacks that you would have to pay, almost like your deductible or your copay that we pay with our working insurance. So having that supplemental plan or Medicare Advantage plan, whatever add-on that you choose to purchase is going to be paramount, because it helps us as your retirement planners understand we don't have to or you don't have to reserve a massive amount of money if you fall down, break your leg, and something happens and you've got to go for skilled nursing care or something like that.
Right.
So that's what those types of policies are there for, is to ensure that you're not going to get that cost passed on to you in your retirement years.
But the other thing I believe that a lot of people need to be aware of, because they think that once they get to 65 and get on Medicare, it's going to be cheap or free or whatever. It could be a lot cheaper than what you're paying for in the private sector before you get to Medicare age. However, if you make over a certain amount of money, they're going to keep increasing those costs on you. So you might be back up to the same cost level in retirement because you've made too much money during that year. That next 2 years you're going to pay $500-600 a month per individual instead of the $150, $170 you had planned on.
Now, for those folks who maybe didn't save as well for retirement, could they get both Medicare and Medicaid?
That's a possibility. The things you need to understand, Medicare is based on your age.
Okay, right.
All right, or maybe disability. All right, but Medicaid is based on your economic situation. So that's the difference between the two. So if you are over 65 and you don't have as much money as some other people, you might get both of them.
Right, but you don't want to rely on that or depend on that.
No.
Okay,
no.
yeah, you got to plan for yourself. It's kind of like disaster preparedness. You have to be your own first responder sometimes, right?
That is correct.
Got to be ready for that. So at what age should someone start planning for Medicare, and what are the deadlines to be aware of?
Well, what I would say, number one, unless you are on disability, you're not going to be able to get Medicare until, at the moment, age 65. So you can start preparing for it, planning for it, but you cannot get it until you're age 65 unless you're on disability.
Okay.
Now, once you're there, at age 65, you don't have to get on it per se. You can, if you're still working, you can still be on that plan, but you need to make sure that you follow the guidelines and at least enroll in Part A and then in Part B when you're qualified for it. And you don't get penalized for it just based on the rules.
Can you have both if you're still working?
You can, it's just, it may not be beneficial to you.
Okay.
So, but those are things that, and the deadlines are, it's really 2 months before the month of your 65th birthday, and the month of and 2 months after. So
really? So that's the time span that you have to do it?
without penalties.
Yep, I'd tell somebody that is getting towards 60, about age 64, probably start having a conversation with someone, because you are about to get bombarded with marketing.
Really?
And, oh yes, absolutely.
Oh.
It's public, becomes public knowledge when somebody's turning 65. All the companies, all the people that specialize in that are going to start sending you mails, giving you phone calls, things like that. So get ahead of it. Talk to somebody. You don't have to enroll in anything, but at least you're going to know what's going on.
I see. So it's like a 21st birthday celebration, except not as exciting.
More exciting.
There you go.
But the other thing I would say to you at this point is, every year you have open enrollment for Medicare.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to get those bombardments, information packets, and oh, we got the better deal for you. So just be aware,
Oh, really?
once you make that decision, next year you're going to have to make another decision. You can change
Ralph, how many
plans.
pieces of mail do you get every year?
Oh, probably, let's see, I throw at least that much away.
Oh no, you
On
probably
a
don't even
weekly
look at
basis.
it. But hold on, with Medicare, I didn't know there were different deals. I thought it was kind of one size fits all.
Supplemental plans. Yeah, that's
Oh.
what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, Medicare, but then you got the supplemental plans that you can change those plans.
So you get bombarded with those.
Yes.
Oh, so everybody knows.
Oh, yes.
Okay, it's that birthday that you just can't get away from, I suppose. So how do long-term care expenses impact retirement, and what are the options for covering these costs? Because I know a lot of people worry about long-term care.
Yeah, and that's a big difference between, Medicare, like we're talking about
Right.
for health, that kind of thing. Then you've got long-term care services, which normally are unexpected, right? Long-term care is kind of the accident that happened, whether you tripped, fell, and now you're completely broken. You've got to be in a nursing home. You've got to have somebody to watch you. There's a lot of things that come into play, and a lot of people don't take a look at covering that, right? So long-term care insurance, whether it's a hybrid policy or a standalone policy, will be there for those unexpected occurrences. But a lot of people say, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to need it. Well, that's true. None of us know what the future holds. But when you have the insurance, something happens, you're going to be covered. Sometimes fully, sometimes it's not completely all the way. But it's very important, because if you go into a nursing home, if you check to see what that cost is, you're looking $5,000 to $10,000 a month. A lot of people don't have that money saved.
No.
And the last thing you want to do is retire just to blow through all your money to be into a facility,
Right.
and you don't pass it to your spouse, you don't pass it to your kids, grandkids.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that happen, but nobody wants to talk about it because they take a look at it to where I'm not guaranteed to use it, why have it?
So long-term care insurance, though, why wouldn't your regular medical insurance cover, say, something like a nursing home? I mean, where does that cut off? Are there limits? Like, why would you
There
need
are certain
that?
stipulations in there, but if
Okay.
you think Medicare is going to cover the cost of a nursing home, it's not going to happen, right?
Really?
So you've got to make sure that you insure yourself.
Okay.
Medicare will cover you. If you're in the nursing home, Medicare will cover the doctor that you see while you're there.
Okay.
But the nurse that comes by to check on you, anything,
Yeah.
the meals, that won't be covered there. That's
Oh.
what the long-term care is
I
going to be.
see. Okay, so that's really good information to know. We've got to take a commercial break, but before we do, Tim, once again, tell us about our special offer.
All right, so the first 10 callers who have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you in the office where we can talk about these things and also create your very own retirement roadmap just for you. And Cheryl, the best part is it's complimentary.
Complimentary. Keep those questions coming and take advantage of our professionals. Call for advice, or if you don't feel like talking, use your cell phone and scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen to set up an appointment. Coming up next, we'll feature some of your burning questions. Don't go away.
It was the longest running bull market in history. Everything was looking up. While inverted yield curves pointed to a recession, the market kept going. And then, if you're planning to retire soon, that could spell bad news for your returns. Our team can help you better withstand the bear market. Now more than ever, you need a financial professional to stand with you. Visit our website to learn more about our services. You can call or email our office to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Welcome back to Aspire to Retire. It's our favorite part of the show. Time to feature some of your questions. So let's start with Ruby from Chester. Ruby says, I want to pass as much money as I can to my children. Oh, that's so nice, Ruby. But she says, how can I most effectively do this? I like her.
Well, my question to you, Ruby, do you feel like your kids are worthy of you passing everything
Oh,
over?
come on.
The other question I would say to you is this: there are ways that you can pass it on to them from a tax-free standpoint that they wouldn't have to pay taxes on, and that's called life insurance. Because if you have a life insurance policy on you at your death, then they would receive whatever it is, $100,000 policy, $1 million policy, that would come over to them tax-free. They would not have to pay any taxes on it as it
Really?
stands today under current tax laws.
I like how you add that. I hope that doesn't change.
Yeah, it's
That'd be
always a
horrible.
possibility. It would be horrible. That
Yeah.
is exactly correct.
That's good to know, though. Carlos in Sussex says, what is an RMD and how is it taxed? What happens if I do not want to take an RMD?
So an RMD is a required minimum distribution. And the way the laws are written right now, when we obtain age 73, our retirement accounts, the pre-tax accounts, the government says we have to start taking money out of them. There's a chart or a percentage built up, and they tell you every year you've got to take this much out. So Carlos, if you don't want to take an RMD, there's a couple things that can happen. You don't have to take it. Nobody's literally just going to send you a check. If you choose not to take it, Uncle Sam is going to come knock on your door and you're going to pay some fines.
Ooh.
And they're going to be mean. There is something that we've been doing recently called a charitable distribution,
Yeah.
where you can send it to, instead of going into your bank account, you can send it to a charity of your choice and get the deduction so it doesn't affect you nearly as much. But that's really the only ways I know around RMDs.
So let me ask you a question, Scott. Why do you have RMDs?
Because the IRS would like their money.
Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's solely the purpose of it, is so that you cannot shelter from taxation.
My goodness.
And the way that it's taxed is it's all based off all of your taxable income throughout the year. So it's going to be normal income tax, but the percentage is going to be based off of everything.
Of course it is. Okay. Nancy in Ladysmith says, I'm retired and I'm fortunate enough that my employer still covers my health care. What should my kids be on the lookout for when it comes to their retirement and health care? And I'm pretty sure that they will not be in the same boat as me.
Yeah, most companies now, they don't cover health insurance. So, you know, your kids, I don't know how old they are, but more than likely they're not going to be working with companies that are going to cover that.
Right.
So you've got to make sure, you know the gist at least of Medicare, although if you're only 20 years old, it might change before you hit 65. So you've got to make sure that you've got your life insurance covered, you've got your long-term care insurance covered, because those are unexpected things that are going to happen you need to protect yourself from.
Okay, Brenda in Powhatan says, I want to grow my money, but I'm so scared of taking a big loss. What is your advice on how to earn but not to lose? And I understand, maybe she has some PTSD from 2008, right?
That's
Yeah,
a very good
possible.
possibility.
Yeah.
So what I would say for her is, number one, see a QR code,
Yep.
scan it, give us a call. We'll sit down and talk with you, because there are ways of doing that, but we really do not know what your situation is. So for us to make a recommendation on TV right now, live TV, we don't know enough as fiduciary to say, make this recommendation.
Yeah, everybody's different. You're always looking out for the best interest of the client.
Correct.
Okay. Jim from Louisa says, my company is offering me an early retirement package with a lump sum pension. Should I take that or the monthly pension?
Well, Jim, I'd say you're lucky. Good for you. I'm glad you're getting that offer, first and foremost. Second, I'd say we don't know. We need to sit down and chat with you. We need to look at your situation, what's best for you. It could be best that you just need the biggest number possible, so let's just take the monthly payout. Or maybe it's better that you want control of your own money and you want to be able to establish products where you can distribute it to yourself when you want it.
Right.
So there's a lot in that question. I wish I could answer it specifically just off that information, but I just simply can't.
And that's where our process of the retirement roadmap really comes in, because maybe he doesn't need that monthly pension, and having the control, rolling it into an IRA is a good solution. But when we go through that process, we can definitely answer that.
Yeah, all right. Donovan from Richmond says, I have retired and left my 401k with my old company. I feel as though they made me a lot of money, so I feel like I might leave the money there, but I hear that I should move it to an IRA. What are your thoughts? And we just talked about that a little bit, moving it to IRA.
So Donovan, let me ask you, when you left and you left your money with your 401k, did your company leave you with a company vehicle? Did they leave you with a laptop? There's no reason to have that kind of allegiance at this point.
Right.
If you've got your money in a 401k, you're going to be limited as far as what you can invest your money in. If you roll that out into your own IRA, then the possibilities are almost endless, right? So you have a lot more control, like Scott was talking about in the last question. You have more control of your money because you can kind of pick and choose your investments and how you can align your investments based off your risk.
But the other thing I would say to him is this: when you left, you don't have any control over what they're going to do with that present program, because they might change from this big box store to
Yes.
this one over here, and you have no say-so, and you don't know who to contact at that point in time. Back to control.
Because
So-
I feel like your money can get lost, especially in this day and age. A lot of people are jumping from company to company. We might have money in 4 different 401k accounts, but we don't know where it is. I mean, if you don't find it, do you just lose it?
There are programs out there where it'll get where it's supposed to go eventually, but it
Okay.
takes a little while.
Yeah.
Now, the big thing is, as those companies jump around like we're talking about, it comes down to a communication issue for me. When you're working for a company and you have a 401k, the custodian of the money, whoever's got the money, is communicating with you, and the company's communicating with you. Guess what? When you leave the company, as Tim was kind of talking about earlier, they're not communicating with you. You don't work for them anymore. So you're relying on one of the big box stores to tell you everything at that point.
Okay. Well, guys, that's all the time we have for today's show. So, Tim, once again, let's recap that special offer.
All right, so the first 10 callers from today's show have saved $250,000 and more for retirement. Pick up the phone, give us a call, 833-897-4845. We'd love the opportunity again to sit down with you in the office where we can create your very own retirement roadmap just for you. And Cheryl, the best part is it's fully complimentary.
Ooh, I like that. FREE, free. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today on Aspire to Retire. We always have so much fun. I know talking money is not always exciting, but we make it fun. So if you'd like some advice, give these guys a call and you could be featured on our next episode, or scan that QR code on the bottom of your screen to set up an appointment. On behalf of all of us at Aspire to Retire, I'm your host, Cheryl Nelson. Have a great day.